Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for asking us to come present Parkinson's Voice Project to you. I'm Richard Saari. I'm a Finlander. Saari means island. And I went to Lapland on January 8th to see some of the home country. My grandparents on my dad's side both came from Finland. Lapland in the winter is wonderful. You ought to take a great trip. Get to drive a dog sled, get to drive a snowmobile, and you get to ride a reindeer sled and do a bunch of other great things. It was a wonderful trip. I was born and raised in Ishpeming, Michigan. Now this is going to be a test at the end. You can spell it and know where it is. Ishpeming, Michigan is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we live above the bridge as a verse to those in Michigan who live below the bridge where the trolls live. We have a little thing going in Michigan about the upper or lower. And the upper people think they're like Texas, they want to be independent. They ain't got enough people to pay the taxes, let alone be independent. But it makes it more fun. We just have a little fun with it. So whenever I meet somebody from Lower Michigan, I said, you're a troll, eh? Opens the doors and they don't punch me in the face, so that makes it nice. I was born and raised there. I went to Bible college down in Minneapolis, Minnesota for 4 years, and then I came back and worked in the mine for 5 years to grow up a little before I went into pastoring. I pastored in Iowa, Michigan for 25 years. Then my wife had some problems, serious health problems, and so I ended up moving down to Texas, became a apprentice plumber, worked my way up to responsible master. So I had a responsible master license till I retired. I decided the state didn't need $500 from me to say I had it. So I gave it up and said, that's it, you can take that. I had, with a responsible master plumber, you're responsible for everything your guys do. So I spent a lot of time trying to justify to the state that we weren't trying to kill people, weren't trying to rip them off, and I spent a lot of administrative time instead of having fun, because I did all of the training too, between here and El Paso. And so that's where I'm at, that's how I got here. And then when I got here, things started to happen. You get to my notes. Fun thing with Parkinson's, I have a hard time memorizing things. Even though I know it, I can't just do it from my brain constantly, so I always use my notes. But I'm used to that. Thank you for inviting me today. 2009 was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. I was promoted to regional trainer, and being the regional trainer manager, till I became the responsible master plumber 4 years later. However, during this time, 6 months later, after I was promoted, I had to put my wife in a nursing home with frontal lobe early dementia, Pick's disease. It's the disease the football players get, and you get if you have a lot of concussions. It literally turns the frontal lobe into dust. And you know how you can tell that happened? Autopsy. You can't go in there and look. There's no way to x-ray it or anything. And so it was tough. And so I put her in. And during this time, my middle daughter and her 2 kids moved in with me because of a very bad divorce, very bad situation. I didn't want my grandchildren homeless, so I took them in. That let us keep my wife at home for about 6 more extra months, because I had somebody to share things with and to watch mom. If she would start to wander and life got really exciting. I get called out from work all the time. Come and get your wife. She was over here at the office. We can't give her to her. And so I'd have to go home and take her and put her back in the home. So we did that. So for 6 months, I got up every morning and went to the nursing home and stopped at the nursing home on the way home, just the way I had to live for the last 6 months. My brother came to see me during this time and noticed my tremors. I had a tremor in my left arm. And so usually Parkinson's, if you have physical problems, it's going to affect your dominant side first. kind of weird, but your dominant side starts shaking first instead of the opposite. And so he told me, you better go see the doctor. So I went to my wife's neurologist because he was a good guy. He diagnosed her. She had been diagnosed by an intern with another psychiatrist that she had been seeing, and that psychiatrist said, there's no way she's got Pick disease. And this intern listened to me, told her what's going on. She says, your wife's got Pick disease. So he comes back in, the big guy, and says, she just said that my wife's got Pick disease. He said, there's no way they got Pick disease. No way. So that's really rare. Since I learned since all of this and what I went through with that, a lot of times people are diagnosed as bipolar and they have Pick's disease, not bipolar. And so Pick's disease can't be fixed, just like Parkinson's can't be fixed. It can be helped, but it can't be fixed. And so sometimes that happens. And so even my current neurologist, who is a movement disorder specialist, she said, no, I told her what happened. She said, no, that wasn't true. I said, yes, yes it is. It was proved that it was it. So that became fun. My wife's neurologist diagnosed me with Parkinson's, and I was stunned and depressed. Did you notice how when you find out you got Parkinson's, you don't want to admit it? I got Parkinson's. I told my uncle one time, who saw me shaking, he said, you got Parkinson's. Nah, I got Parkinson's. I can stop it, and I could just stop it, and then I'd go down and it wouldn't move. And so we tend to want to deny. By doing that, you're putting off getting yourself help. By not acknowledging that you have it, it's wishing you didn't. My one friend up in Upper Michigan, who's in the Wisconsin side up there, I lived out right on between Wisconsin and Michigan, right there on the border. And my one friend, her husband has Parkinson's, and so they called me 6 months ago, and I spent an hour talking to him, and I finally convinced him that to just acknowledge you have Parkinson's. Don't keep fighting and saying, I got it, I got it, I got it. I said, that's just driving you crazy because you're beating your head against the wall saying, I don't have it. We have Parkinson's, we don't have to be afraid of it. Don't be ashamed of it either. I was ashamed for a long time, and I'll tell you why in a little while. So, when I got out of his office, I was stunned and I was depressed. And I was depressed for a long time in my life. I started taking an antidepressant in 40 years ago, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me at that time. I felt better, I did better, and until it finally quit working, and Dr. Harney, my neurologist at the time, my wife's neurologist and my neurologist, gave me the there it is, locked up. I love that when it happens. You're in the middle of a sentence and you can see the word, but you can't say it. All right. Yeah, we'll go on. Well, that word will pop up. You ever notice? That's what happens. That's why in a group with Parkinson's, if you're trying to listen to a regular group, you'll have a question that you want to throw out there, you'll have a comment you want to make, and by the time you can get it out, there are four subjects off already, because it takes time for things to develop, and you just got to say, okay, that's it. And I do. I just throw it out there after I'm over, when they're done, and I just throw it in there. Okay, I wanted to find out about this, or if I forgot, I just leave it alone. Now, I stewed and spewed for years. See how fun that is? I don't have it. I don't want to deal with it. Stewed and spewed for a year. My trainees began complaining to me that they weren't able to hear me, and my children were asking me to speak up so that I could hear, and it made me mad. You're getting deaf. Go see the hearing doctor. Don't bother telling me I don't speak loud enough. Isn't that weird what we do? So, I went to my next doctor's appointment, I brought it up, and he recommended Parkinson Voice Project on Coit Road in Richardson. The next day on my way to work, I always listen to NPR, National Public Radio on my way to work. I learn all kinds of weird things on there that you don't hear elsewhere in the news. It's actual news. You don't got 14,000 commercials that tell you nothing and then just eat up your time. You actually get news. And to this day, they were interviewing Samantha Ellenderry. Wow. I listened to her and I go, that's a lady who's trying to help people. I got to get in there. And so when I got to work that day, I called up the office right away. Said, I've got a problem with Parkinson's. My doctor has recommended I get a hold of you. And sure enough, she said, come on in. We'll take you. So, Samantha saved my life. The best decision of my life that I ever made. What a vision she has. What a vision she has. And she's driven. She's wants things nice. When you come around our place, it's all oak trim and stuff. Because she doesn't do anything halfway. We do it all the way. And she's always after all of us when we're in the office. Speak up. I'll come in and I'll mumble something. What are you mumbling for, Richard? Nobody's left out. She's vicious. But she's worth it. Because that's what keeps you going. Somebody prodding you, telling you the truth, rather than letting you believe the lie, that I don't have a problem. So, Parkinson's is caused when neurons that produce a chemical called dopamine die or become impaired. By the time someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's, he or she has already lost 80% of the dopamine in the brain. Imagine, 80% disappears before you even know you got a problem. So you're behind the 8 ball the minute you're diagnosed, because you've lost this dopamine, and you can't just give us a dopamine shot. It doesn't work that way. Can't just give us a dopamine shot. So, dopamine is responsible for the planning and controlling of automatic behaviors. That's why we have to work at it. Now, without enough dopamine, automatic behaviors are disrupted. What are some of the things that we do automatically or find that we can't do automatically now that we have Parkinson's? What are some of the automatic things that happen in our bodies?
Blood pressure.
Blood pressure?
Breathing. Breathing.
Breathing, yes. Fortunately, that's not on this side of the problem. If it was, we'd all be gasping. So that's a real good thing, and breathing is automatic, but it doesn't get affected by the dopamine.
Mood. Your mood.
Your moods.
No, your mood, like your emotional mood.
Yes, your moods are definitely affected. I take medicine for anxiety and depression, and I have a psychiatrist on my team because I have problems that just kill me, and Parkinson's exaggerates that, and it's been very helpful. Again, if you're upfront and honest about things, they can't hold you back, but if you hide them, you're just hurting yourself. And I don't have a problem. I do have a problem, and I'm taking care of it. And so that's great. Also, breathing. Isn't breathing an automatic movement? Do you think about, breathing, walking, driving, speaking, breathing? And speaking is an automatic behavior. The automatic system in people with Parkinson's isn't work right, and most people with Parkinson's will struggle with their speech. And so, with your speech, you have to think about how much air am I going to take in? Can I get my diaphragm to work to push it back out? Can I make my tongue form the right kind of words? That's all automatic. And fortunately, that's why you get quiet. That's why Parkinson's becomes the quiet thing, until you lose the ability to talk to the people around you. And what happens when you can't communicate?
Get isolated.
You're isolated. It starts to isolate you. Parkinson's wants to get you out of the public eye. It wants to get you to pull back and kind of stay home. I thank God I've got a new life. that helps me. It makes me go out to Sunday school and church, we met at church. Makes me go out and do things and be a part of things, go on these trips. Without her, I never would have gone to Finland, I've been to New Zealand, Australia. A few other places, Israel. Israel was wonderful. And so we've gone on these trips because I just have to force myself to get out there. Otherwise, I'll sit there in the living room reading a book and getting sullen. And nobody likes a sullen person. Have you noticed that? They're not looking for you. Oh, you're sullen. I want to spend the day with you. That doesn't happen. So, 1 in 100 adults of over the age of 60 will be diagnosed with Parkinson's, and 89% of those people are at high risk of losing their ability to speak. Isn't that scary? With Parkinson's, regain and maintain their speaking abilities. Ooh, I missed my one line. Parkinson's Voice Project is a non-profit organization solely dedicated to helping people with Parkinson's regain and maintain their speaking abilities. We are the only clinic in the world that has this designation, that's working at it with passion. We have developed a powerful two-step program that leads you to regain your speaking and voice and find hope and support for the future. This program I'm about to share with you is what saved my life and helps me see the future with hope. I think I missed something. No? If I come up on it, we'll get it. The first step of the program is speak out. Speak out. And so it's a matter of lifting your voice. Not shouting, but lifting your voice up and out. You have to do it with the intentional side of your brain. Because intent is the secret to the success of our program. Say it with me. Intent.
Intent.
Intent. See, I intentionally want to communicate with you today so you can hear me. And so I sound to myself, that's the problem is, you sound yourself like you're hollering. I'm not hollering, that I know. I don't hear myself echoing too bad in here, so it must be all right. And so, with intent, you can make your voice be heard. You can make your voice be heard. Intent means to be focused, to be purposeful, to concentrate, and to say it like you mean it. When people with Parkinson's use intent, they are activating a part of the brain that does not need dopamine. Amazing, isn't it? We can actually bypass the automatic part of the brain and use a different part that doesn't need dopamine. How much dopamine have you lost by the time you're diagnosed with Parkinson's?
80%.
Yeah, you guys are listening. Everybody gets a gold star. You all get a gold star. 80% is lost before you ever get there. So, people with Parkinson's have to use intent 24/7. That's what makes us tired. Haven't you noticed? In the morning is the best time to do your most activity, your busiest activity, your activity that requires your most attention. Because by afternoon, you're tired of having intent, making yourself speak louder, making yourself drive better. I still drive. I haven't lost my license yet. I'll give it up before they take it away from me, but I don't like to see that day coming, but that's part of Parkinson's. You can't correct it enough to drive safely. Fortunately for me, things are working very well right now. Now, it's like trying to drive your sports car with the brakes on all the time. You got all this power, but the brakes are on. You're saying, no, you gotta speak softer. You gotta speak softer. Oh, don't miss that car in front of you. You know. And so everything you do requires that you think about it that you apply yourself to it and you use intent. Walking, talking, eating, standing. There's the second part of the program that brings hope and help also. The loud crowd. Now the loud crowd is just starting to meet again at the office up on Coit. And so the loud crowd is where we assign you to a group that is compatible with your level of need. In the group you find people with your problems and that you are not alone. You do voice exercises together and discuss what is working or not working in your treatment and get hope from each other. The loud crowd keeps me moving forward with intent and lets me know that I can fight Parkinson's and win. So the loud crowd is really great. It's helpful. I meet with people once a week. We meet, our loud crowd now is meeting on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 to 11. We do voice exercises. Me, my, mo, moo. How many of you know those? Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You do all these things. You repeat them 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, depending on who's leading that day. And so those things help to build you up physically. I go to the gym every morning, and I come home, I do my voice exercise. So I make sure that I keep it all together. And also I've got a little more energy after I've been at the gym until noon comes and I'm tired. How many of you have trouble like I do with naps? My wife says, you can't nap. Yeah, you can nap again. I said, I can too, I'm a big boy. So, during the pandemic, when we weren't able to meet for our groups, Parkinson Voice Project began offering online practice sessions to help us maintain our speech. And so that's available 5 days a week at 10 o'clock Central Time on ParkinsonVoiceProject.org. And you look in there and it'll tell you where you go to find the daily speech exercise that helps you keep your exercises up. Because I've been at this for 13 years. And so keeping your exercise up takes discipline. You get real tired, so yeah, man, all right, that's enough of that for the last 20 years. And so we tend to fight it a little, but it helps. Now, the online sessions grew and we were able to reach more people. We have over 3,500 people exercising with across the world every day. And that's growing every day. More and more people are learning about our program. I call every Thursday I go in and make phone calls to thank everyone who has donated to our organization. We're the only nonprofit that calls people and says thank you. And sometimes they hang up the phone when they first tell them who I am, because they're afraid I'm going to ask for money. I'm not asking for a dime. I'm calling to say thanks. We appreciate you. We appreciate that you help us move forward. We appreciate that you give a little. And I don't know how much they gave. I treat them all the same. They could have been one of our $1 million donors, or they could have been a $5 donor. Doesn't matter. I call you personally and say that every Thursday. So every Thursday I go in for a couple hours until I run out of voice, because I can't just speak, hyped up and adrenaline flowing and all that good stuff, saying, hey, this is great. So I go for a couple hours and then that's it. And so then we have a few others that help me. I don't do it all, but I do pretty close to all. Now, the treatment that I received is why I can speak to you today with a voice that may have you wondering, does he have Parkinson's? Yes, he does. 2010 he was diagnosed and he's had it ever since. And so, but just ask my new wife when I relax and don't speak with intent. She's a feisty little thing. She'll tell me, Richard, speak with intent. I can't hear you, I can't understand you. She'll put you into this, I can't understand you. So she pushes on me all the time, makes me work at it. Why? Because she loves me, and I love her. One of the reasons I do this is I want to be able to have a good life with her till I die. I've been fortunate to have two good wives. The first one, we were married 42 years. We've been married 10 years already. So it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun. But it's great to have a partner, and we do a lot of things together. Like I said, she forces me to stay involved with people. You have to force yourself out of the house. You have to force yourself from saying, I'm going to talk to you today, I'm going to sit here and eat worms. That's no fun. That's no fun. You're not a trout. Okay, we operate, let's see. We are able to be such a moving force for good because we do a simple thing. We do not bill Medicare, insurance, or the patient. The reason we don't do that is so we don't get caught up. That's why Samantha quit her job. All she did was fill out paperwork for 40 minutes. Talk to a patient for 10 minutes. That's not treatment. How many of you get disgusted when you go into somebody who's trying to help you with this stuff and they sit and talk to you 5 minutes? Okay, bye. That make you feel good? My new neurologist will spend up to an hour and a half. Whenever I go in, no matter when. She just has a passion, just like Samantha does, to help people with Parkinson's do better. And so that's what we want. We give good time with people. We spend time on their treatment rather than on book work and hiring 20 people to keep the insurance companies happy. We did a survey. One of our board members took Samantha aside years ago and said, Samantha, we need to change the structure here. We can survive on paying it forward. We don't need to bill insurance. And we can survive. We have the numbers to prove that we do better by not billing insurance and having it on this pay it forward basis. Because people who receive help are appreciative. And everybody gives, it all adds up. And so that's why we do what we do, so that people get treatment. Samantha's all about you getting treated. We only spend 12% of our budget on overhead. That's unbelievable numbers. So we do really good at that. Now, no one is turned away, but we do ask you to pay it forward to help the next person behind you with what you can. And so we have a lot of people that come into our place and help us. Our budget every year is over $4 million. And that's from starting in 2005. Isn't that good? Mm-hmm. See, she's got a drive. I'll tell you, that girl's a drive. And she pushes. So, if you know anyone with Parkinson's or yourself, check out the program and check out our online sessions. It doesn't matter where in the world they live, everyone with Parkinson's can benefit from our website. Again, it's parkinsonvoiceproject.org. In addition to running the speech therapy clinic, Parkinson's Voice Project also trains speech pathologists from other parts of the world in its therapy methods. Our vision is that our program will be replicated throughout the world. We are starting now with replicating in America. Reaching America is our big push right now. We have raised since it's been less than a year, we need $20 million to do all 50 states. We have raised $11,471,000 to date, and we're going to start by opening 16 clinics like ours, replicated in universities. The reason we use universities is they already have the people. We're going to give them $50,000, $5,000 a year to help with their thing for 10 years, and to help them develop our program, do research, because we need research published. That's part of what goes on in the medical world. You have to have research to back up your claims. Our program works. And you probably saw a few people on there, and they must have showed a couple of people who were whispering, and we can do it sometimes with some people, you can take 1 week of our training for 2 days, two times a day, and they can speak normally by the end of that. Unbelievable. We had one guy that she was just telling us about the other day, we were in our advocates meeting, he got better in 3 days. They started in on him with the Mamie, Mimo, Moo, and all that, the count and the slides and the reading, because we do all kinds of different things. In 3 days, he went from, how are you? That was amazing. You watch this, it's amazing. It's so simple, it's simple, that's why people sometimes go, wow, how can that help? It helps, because it is simple. You're busy exercising the intent part of your brain. It'll never become automatic. That's the disappointing part. It'll never become automatic unless they somehow find a way to do that. Otherwise, it's not automatic, but it works. And it helps you keep going. And I'll tell you, talking to each other is great, because you'll learn about, I'm taking this, I'm taking that. And it helps you. So, I just lost my place. Here we go. Got it. 90% of people with Parkinson's will struggle with speaking, and if they don't get treated, they may end up with serious swallowing issues. The sad fact is only about 4% of people with Parkinson's are receiving help. So, the swallowing problems are also part of why you need to do the exercises. Keep these muscles in here tight and tense and doing their job. So you exercise and you exercise and you exercise. 23 years and counting, or 13 years and counting for me. Okay, this month of June will be dedicated to our new campaign, Reach America, with a university in every state in America using our model to make sure no one is turned away from receiving help from Parkinson's Voice Project. The total we needed to raise is 20 million, and I already told you about the 11 million we've already done. And so, those are the things that are out there. Now, I've also done something else to help myself. I did a thorough study on deep brain stimulation. I have a book this thick that I studied hard. I looked at the pros and cons of it, and what they can do and what they can't do. It's just like anything else in Parkinson's. They can try it with you. For some of us it works great, for others it's so-so, for some it doesn't do anything. But that's the same as popping a pill. In Parkinson's you have to take one pill and wait for about a couple of months, see how that's doing. If that didn't work, we give you a different pill. If it's working, we may be able to substitute it. But it takes time. So I researched it and I asked Dr. Harney, my doctor. By the way, my Dr. Harney died of a heart attack here a little while back, which is really sad. Really sad. But he put me into the program. I said, can I get in, take a look at DBS? He said, yes, you're perfect for it. Let me send you. And he sent me over to UT Southwestern, and they put you through 6 months of all kinds of tests and different things. And that's where I met my new neurologist, because Dr. Harney could no longer be my neurologist, because I had to have the one that I was assigned at UT Southwestern, because they need to write prescriptions and all that, and it's really complicated when they got to go through 2 doctors. And so you'll automatically switch over to the new doctor. And so Dr. Harney was glad for me. I told him when I got what happened, he was thrilled. I looked into it, and okay, I agreed, I passed. I said I was okay for it. And so I ended up not this last December, but the December before, I had DBS surgery, had 2 implants in my head, 2 antennas, 1 on each side. There's no pain, because your brain doesn't have any nerve centers. You can poke into somebody's brain with anything, you can't feel it. You can be wide awake, can't feel a thing. And so I had the surgery. They put in the 2 antennas. These antennas are the newest and latest. They can make 8 different adjustments without having to pull it out or do something weird with it. They can just adjust it with the push of a button, just like I can. Wanna play with my brain? I offer people all the time, hey, you wanna play with my brain? So I can adjust if I'm shaking or if my dyskinesia. The reason I wanted the surgery was I got tired of the dyskinesia. The dyskinesia got so bad I was constantly, I'd sit down with dinner with my nieces and nephews and my wife. The nieces and nephews going, what's wrong with Richard? What's wrong with him? And so I got tired of that. That's why I went after this. The results for me, in case you can't tell, they told me I'd get 75% better possibly. I'm 95% better. I can't believe what this has done for my life. It's changed my life entirely. I'm back to doing my carpentry, back to doing my woodwork, all the things I love to do. I actually have the time and energy because I was running out of energy. I was getting tired of the dyskinesia. I was wore out all the time. And so this deep brain stimulation surgery for me worked awesomely well. And so I can drive better. I do everything better. It's amazing. And so you don't have to be afraid of it because if they put it in there and it doesn't work, it's just like a pill. They change pills, they just leave it in there. They don't take it out. You can have them take it out if you can't stand the thought of it in there. But I've been poked with so many fish hooks, I don't care. Whatever's in there's in there. And so they wake you up in the middle of the surgery to test you. Some people will take the whole surgery wide awake, because one guy that played a guitar, when he had the surgery, he said, I'm gonna keep plucking my guitar and while you poke and prod, because I wanna know if I lose this. And he stayed awake through the whole thing, didn't bother, kept playing songs when they were done. When I woke up, they had hit the exact spot that they needed to hit. You're in overnight only because they worry about blood coming out. Otherwise, it would be an outpatient surgery. Imagine that, outpatient surgery in the brain. And so the worst part of the whole thing was that when they put that halo on you, that big halo that helps them to hold it in place so they hit the right spot. And it's only because it's different. It's like having a football helmet on without all the side guards. And they clamp it down. This side they pushed it down so tight they had to put a stitch in when they took it out. But there was no pain. And so they did the surgery, I came out, and look at me now. I can't believe it myself.
What were you like before? I mean,
I was starting to get to where dyskinesia, like when you're around me, I'm moving, and it was embarrassing. I admit I got an ego. It was embarrassing. And so, but it was tiring. I just got tired of myself because I'm sitting there trying to read and you just never knew. And so, that's what I did, and that's made a difference. I take Rytari, but because of UT Southwestern and they're such a big hospital and have so many ties to MD Anderson in Houston, that there's a Walgreens in Houston that I get my Rytari free. Rytari, if you pay for it out of your pocket, can be over $2,000 a month. So I'm getting it free through this program, having gone through UT Southwestern.
What are some of the unfortunate results of deep brain stimulation? Did they warn you about the complications?
The unfortunate result is 1% could die.
How about stroke?
Stroke, again, 1%. It's not big percentages on the bad. They have very good results. The thing you've got to look for is find a doctor who's done a lot of them. Like anything else. You're going to have a real special surgery. Don't find a new guy that's just trying. Find a doctor who's done it. And I just got the newest doctor they had that came in to take over the department. He had done over 1,000 of these.
What's the name?
I meant to bring that with me and I didn't grab the book on the way out. He starts with an R, but it's a big kind of a long name like that. I should tattoo this stuff on me so I'll remember. Because everybody asks and I try to remember and I can't. But it's a process, and again, it's like anything else. You have to work your way through it. Always approach everything with a positive attitude. my pastor says 90% of life is attitude. Attitude. If I've got an attitude, it ain't gonna work. That doesn't help, does it? That depresses my spirit, and then when my spirit's depressed, I don't know what to do. Oh, I ain't going. No, attitude. Attitude. Approach everything with a good attitude. Okay, things could happen, yes. You can't threaten me with death, I told my doctor. You can't threaten me with death. Heaven's a great place. Like I said, I was a preacher for 25 years. You can't threaten me with death. But I did approach it all with knowing. And yes, there are some complications, but they're not major. Most people don't have them. I already talked to 5 different people who have had the surgery, and they all came out with my results.
What do you have to adjust with the remote?
Okay,
If you
what
start
I
to
adjust with
feel-
the remote is the,
Do you feel like it's not you're not in control and it's coming back, so you try a different?
yeah, what it does is, let me get it on here and I'll tell you what it is. Stimulation, so I can stimulate the left side. I've got it set at 4.4 right now. And the reason it's at that is I was shaking a little the other day, so I upped it. When you up it, it gets rid of the shaking. When you down it, it gets rid of the dyskinesia. So when I have dyskinesia, I'll down it 1 point, because you can only change it once every 24 hours. You can't just keep playing. So I'll down it, and so I downed it, and that helped a lot, because I was having dyskinesia. Some things I was doing created too much anxiety. Anxiety will cause sometimes the shaking and the dyskinesia. So I can take this out, and I did. I took it out, and I lowered it to 4.4, and it was at 4.5. And that stopped the dyskinesia. I had a little bit of shaking on my way down here, and I thought I was gonna have to change it, but I didn't. Once I got here, I relaxed. Because I'm a guy that if I'm not a half hour early, I'm late, and guess what? I didn't get here till 5 minutes to 11. I wasn't late, but I sure wasn't as where I wanted to be. And so I got here. So that's what this does. This takes the left side and the right side up and down in amplitude, in the power. Because what this does is actually takes some of the place of the right artery. It's kind of an electric dopamine. And so, like I said, I play with people. I tell them, yeah, play with it. Because I found out that being honest and open is so much freer than, I'm ashamed to go out in public. I've done a study on Michael J. Fox's thing, just with questionnaires 31 times now. My 31st questionnaire just came the other day, and I did it, and I can put in there, yeah, I love this. So this thing really helps.
Is it instant?
Yes.
Do you feel?
You don't feel a thing.
No, maybe, but if you feel like the dyskinesia or the tremors are occurring, it's instant.
Yes.
It's not 24 hours.
No.
An hour.
No, it's instant. What it is it takes about 6 months to a year for your brain to adapt to the signals. So again, everything you deal with in Parkinson's, stop looking for instantaneous. It's a slow disease. It goes slowly. It reacts slowly. So don't look for instantaneous, just look for a change, look for results. Like I said, my doctor was so good, I filled her up. She said, quit sending me patients. And she just had a baby, so. Any other questions? I'm not a doctor, but I am telling you what's happened to me. It's real.
There is someone else in that rock study class, that couple from Oregon. He
Yeah.
had the
Yeah.
same.
Rocky.
Pardon? Yes. Right?
Mhm.
Okay.
I had a question about the intent. So with your experience before the BDS stuff, do you find yourself pushing through with the intent when you're tired, or do you just let your body relax and take the nap? I mean,
It all depends on the day. Sometimes I'm so tired I can't stay awake. But I've not reached that point where I fall asleep driving or fall asleep eating. There's some people it's how bad they get to where they just drop off. Just like having
Narcolepsy.
narcolepsy. It's like having narcolepsy. They'll be eating and right in the smoke. But again, it's just, you just gotta look at it from the positive point of view of, yeah, you got it, it's slow moving, but you can do things to help the symptoms. A lot of things to help the symptoms. You just gotta be willing to be patient and try it. And work with your doctor well. Like I said, I got a great doctor, lady doctor, I'm not giving her name because I don't want her to be mad at me. She was at UT Southwestern, and she went into private practice with her husband, who had already had a clinic, and she just put her office in there too. And they still send her patients all the time. She's a little bit of a part-time teacher there. She was a full-time teacher, but she left because they wanted to see patients too fast. And she won't not spend time with you.
With the voice project in Richardson, do people generally go in once a week, meet, and then do everything else online? Or
Yes.
do they go in multiple times a week?
No, once a week, and then do it online at home. And I do that, and like I said, 13 years. You get tired of some of this repetition, I mean, it's the same thing. But being tired of something so simple is really stupid, so I try not to be stupid.
Is it the same time as every day on Monday,
Yeah,
or is it?
10 o'clock.
at you?
No, it's 10 o'clock Central Time every day. We're reaching people, we're having a symposium in July, and we're gonna start off our first 16 places that are gonna duplicate us. The first 16 universities. Penn State is one of them. I mean, we got some great universities, 16 of them were lined up. We're gonna have a symposium, we're gonna teach them our methods, and they're gonna go out and reproduce it. And they have to agree to research, they have to agree to do it often. They can't just treat one patient. And they have to agree to all kinds of things. But we're growing, and the reason we have to do that is you cannot, as a licensed SLP, teach somebody from another state. We can't teach anybody but people from Texas at our clinic. And so Samantha, for one guy, went and got her Florida
Resident.
certificate so that she could teach in Florida, but it was too late for that lady. I mean, they had spent millions, this guy had given like $70 million to the whatever part they were doing down there, and they didn't help her. And by the time we got to her, Samantha can help people that are pretty bad. You'd be surprised what she's done. But she couldn't help. She tried with all of her heart. That's the kind of person she is. She went and got that certificate, and she tried her best. But they had trained that lady to do the wrong things, so it didn't help her voice, it hurt her.
So you can't treat patients in another state?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not training other people, you can train people to
Yes.
help people.
Yes.
In another state. You just can't treat patients.
Can't treat him as a medical patient.
I got you.
And
Online,
so,
that's okay, right?
Huh?
Online, that's okay?
Yeah, and online it's okay as long as they can teach you you can have an SLP if he's been through our program and they're in your state. But if they're not in your state, then you can go on and do our exercises, but we can't give you the SLP experience to make sure you're doing it correctly. That's why we have to tie it to a speech language pathology. We can do things that hurt our voice, not help it. Just by making yourself louder isn't gonna help, because that's shouting. Hey, you! You imagine running around talking like that all day?
nope.
No. Won't help. Won't help.
So is there like an assessment or something that,
Every 6 months we make an assessment. I have to go in, I just went in for my assessment.
but I mean to
Okay.
start, is there like a form or something you fill out online, or do you make an appointment and go in?
You can go online and look at our place, and we can tell
Tell you
you
what to do?
in what state there is. If you're in this state, you can call the office directly, tell them who you are, tell them what you want. They'll send you the necessary information.
Okay.
And I have some handouts that I can give you. I didn't get here in time to set them up. You're a great bunch of people, thanks.
I've used it a couple times on YouTube, just came across a lesson,
Yeah,
and amazing how it points out my breath control is bad.
Yep.
She's trying to do these exercises, and I stop about here, and there's still half a sentence left.
Oh, sure.
So use breath control.
That's why the reading is important. All the things that are built into our system is important to keep, it teaches you breath control without you having to practice breath control. You don't have to practice breath control, you have to practice speaking out. Because your body will automatically suck in more air by itself. You don't even think about it. See, that's the automatic part. You say, I'm gonna speak a long sentence, so I'll go, lots of air. No, your body doesn't ask, it just gets it, and then speaks it with you. What a bunch. This is great.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I enjoy it. I would do this all day long, because it's that important to me.
Well, we may have you back in the fall,
Mhm.
when the rest of the group is here. 'Cause
Sure.
This is like 1/3 to.
Right, yeah.
That's fine.
Because of the holiday weekend.
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get you my brochures to give you each one.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.